Hey guys, it's LSSQ here with a pre-recorded LSSQcast. So the reason why it's pre-recorded is that towards the end of this week, I ended up getting sick, and I don't think I'm going to be able to talk for 2 hours straight during the live, version of the show. So as a result, I decided to pre-record this and talk about some topics that I felt like I wanted to talk about this week, or else they wouldn't have been covered at all. And if I need to, I can take a break during this recording. Whereas for the live thing, I wouldn't have been able to take a break for whatever for too long. Also, I couldn't get the co-host I wanted to this week, and a lot of this week's stream kind of fell apart, so maybe it's fitting that we end this week's stream like this. But anyway, with that said, I do want to jump into the topics, and the first thing I kind of want to talk about is actually videos, and then we'll segue into an actual legit topic. But just, I was supposed to have a video on towards the end of this week. That didn't happen, obviously, but I'm aiming for that video to release probably next weekend at some point, at like the very latest. I know that it always seems like I'm pushing stuff back, but I think next weekend is definitely like the latest that this video is going to be released, because the script has been done. I just have to record, but can't really do that very well when my voice isn't up to its recording quality. Um, Other than that, the new video game clay figure model segment that I said was going to be on at the end of March or whatever, I had been working on it. Well, I ended up getting a table at Comic-Con. Well, I was anticipating that to begin with. So pretty much this whole month and stuff, I was working on Comic-Con models, and it's going to be like that up until Comic-Con, which is early April. So as a result, there won't be a new clay video on, like a new video game clay figure models episode on at the end of March. That's going to be sometime in April once Comic-Con is over and I can get some new clay and make stuff for myself and not so much stuff to sell. Other than that, though, there is going to be a video on towards the end of March showing all my individual Comic-Con models that you guys can see. So there will be new clay. It just isn't going to be in like the video game clay figure model style that I wanted it to be. But the real video game clay figure models video will come just later on in April. So with that said, I want to jump into the topics for this week, the LSSQ cast topics. And since I just talked about my videos, I will kind of throw this out there as an interesting topic to think about. And that's topics I regret not making videos on. So I probably should have thought a little bit harder about this before I was going to talk about it on the stream. But there was one scenario that really stuck out in my mind that I think is kind of fun to reminisce about, and that's A Day with SpongeBob. So a few days ago, I was watching my A Day with SpongeBob retrospective video where I talk about the search and stuff, and I noticed that it had 5,000 views, or around 5,000. I'm like, that's pretty good, but there are a lot of other A Day with SpongeBob videos that have more and stuff. And I'm like, well, how could I have gotten this video any more views than it has? Because, like, I made it at a time when I feel like the search was ending, and I had done a really good job remembering all the little smaller details and stuff that I'm sure nowadays I would have glossed over had I done the video like today. But I was thinking about way back before it really blew up, the A Day with SpongeBob topic. And that would have been like early spring of 2015. And I remember when I first found out about A Day with SpongeBob, that was around the same time I was doing like Kablam episode 29 Does It Exist videos and stuff on my channel. And I was thinking about doing an A Day with SpongeBob, The Mystery of, or Does It Exist on my channel before it blew up. But for some reason, I just never did. And a couple months later, still before the topic really blew up, someone else did a video on A Day with SpongeBob. And after the topic blew up, his video got like over 10,000 views. And I keep thinking to myself that, man, those are like my views. And if I had made a video and aired it months ahead of when this other guy aired it, like I could have been sitting on like a 25,000 view video or something. I could have been the first A Day with SpongeBob video on YouTube. But I wasn't, because for some reason, I just didn't go through with making the video. So I really don't know why I didn't, but I want to say maybe it was just because I was still unsure about the topic. I was maybe thinking it was like a stupid topic. Like there was so little information. What was even the point of making a video? Because it would have just been like talking about like, what is this? So other than that, I want to say that some other video ideas that never happened were like in-depth series or like clay tutorials and things along the clay side, because I know for a fact that like over the years I've had a lot of ideas for clay videos that I've either never done just because I didn't have the ambition to do it, or I didn't have enough clay at the time, or various things like that. I can't think of any specific examples, but I know that some clay things probably didn't happen. But the Day with SpongeBob thing was really the biggest thing, so I just remembered that, and I'm like, man, I could have had the first Day with SpongeBob video on YouTube, but alas, it didn't happen. So aside from videos and things like that, well, I guess we can still talk about content. And by that, I mean good Cartoon Network content. So I guess what I'm getting at is a few days ago, I was looking at, or not just looking at, I was watching some old Cartoon Network shows and some like Nickelodeon shows and stuff. Most notably, Megas XLR. I watched the first episode of that, which I've never really seen a lot of Megas XLR. But it kind of hit me that, like, man, where did Cartoon Network go wrong with their like original programming? Because Megas XLR was like a Cartoon Network original show, and I thought harder about that too. IGPX was a Cartoon Network Toonami original anime, and I think the Big O season 2 was co-produced by like Adult Swim or Cartoon Network or something like that. When it was on Toonami, and I'm like, man, like all this like really good cartoon and creativity and all this stuff going on. Like, where did all that go with Cartoon Network? Like nowadays, you look at the channel, and you get Teen Titans Go, just mindless comedy, and you get like just a throw of these shows out there like We Bare Bears, and like in a regular show ended, but like in regular show and like Infinity Train, and that's all like the same show. Like I know there's differences, but like it's not like there's a huge diversity with the content really. And when you look at like Megas XLR and stuff like that, like maybe this just leans back to CN action shows and how they really don't have an action block of shows now. Maybe that's the issue, isn't so much their content as a whole. Maybe it just lies in their action part. Because kind of to spin off of this, Symbionic Titan was also another show I watched along with Megas XLR a few days ago. And Symbionic Titan, what a show with lost potential. I can't think of a show that has any more lost potential within the recent past than Symbionic Titan. All the character development and backstories that they never had time to expand upon because, Gendy Tartakovsky left Cartoon Network, and there's rumors that Cartoon Network wanted to cancel the show and stuff like that. So, like, man, like if that show kept going, we could have seen an amazing action show last for a few seasons, and it could have been a really big thing. Maybe like along the lines of Ben 10 with how long that show went. And even the Ben 10 reboot I'm thinking of, that's a mindless comedy show. So, like, Cartoon Network, where did you guys go wrong with, like, your programming? I want to say it was, like, Stuart Snyder and, like, along that line when they brought in the live-action shows. But, like, even after that, I mean, Symbionic Titan and Thundercats premiered after that and stuff. So, I mean, I want to say 2013 was, like, end of 2012, 2013 when they really started just losing it, aside from the Stuart Snyder stuff years before. I mean, I really don't follow Cartoon Network as much as I used to, but like, I guess maybe it's just that we may have talked about this a couple weeks ago. It may just be a shift in just general audience and general, viewership and just change of times. Maybe it's a factor we can't really, change. I'm sure. Okay, I'm sure it's a little deeper than that, but I'm sure that's part of it. Maybe action shows just don't have a place on Cartoon Network anymore. Maybe today's demographic of kids just enjoy watching mindless, stupid comedy. And, back in 2005 or whenever Megas XLR was on Cartoon Network, the demographic of kids enjoyed action shows and giant robot mech shows, which actually, I remember with Toonami and stuff, that's probably one of the reasons why Toonami did so well at the time is because it brought anime to America. It really was the driving force behind anime in America. And kids of that day and age were really into it. And nowadays, kids just aren't into anime because anime is like, an old thing. Everyone, most Americans know or when I say this, generally speaking, but like Americans know what anime is. It's not a new thing anymore. So, man, I don't know, but it's really sad to think about. So now to totally change directions from the Cartoon Network stuff is onto collectibles. So Tomy and Jack specific, I wasn't going to talk about either of them this week, but some stuff kind of did happen. So really quick with Tomy, the classic 8-inch plushes of Sonic and Tails have shown up in stores. The modern stuff isn't there, so we suspect it was delayed. And that's kind of all there is to say with Tomy. Now, Jack specific, there's a little bit more to talk about. So first off, and probably most importantly, PSA, there were some counterfeit 4-inch World of Nintendo bootleg figures spotted. So there were some pictures on Twitter originally. I don't know where they came from. I tried to look on eBay for them. I couldn't find them, so I don't exactly know where they came from, but they exist nonetheless. It's of the 4-inch Mario, Yoshi, and Luigi And they're counterfeit. You can tell it's the World of Nintendo sculpts and molds, but they're painted incorrectly and they look really bad. So I hope this doesn't give way to an influx of counterfeit World of Nintendo stuff, because that would be really bad. I tweeted Jack Specific and like the head guy of the World of Nintendo line the pictures, just so they can be aware of it, because if they can kind of stomp this out before it becomes an issue, that would be great. Because my worst fear is that World of Nintendo becomes the new Popco in regards to fakes, and just tons of fakes show up. And at this point, there are a lot of convincing Popco fakes, like even Popco fakes in packages, like, with all the correct logos and stuff, but they're fake because of one or two, dead giveaway details. So that happened, and I really hope I don't see any more of it. But honestly, at this point, I mean, yeah, I don't want to see any more of it, but I kind of expect to, especially if they got away with that much, unless Jax has like a really good grip on like, stopping that. But the original pictures were just from some other guy's tweet, and then I took the pictures and tweeted them to Jax because they had to know about it. So if you go on my Twitter at LSSQ, you can see them in like my little tweets and replies section, because I at Jack Specific. They were pretty bad though. You can tell they were fake, so I don't think they would fool anybody, or at least anybody in the collecting know. But like just people who don't know might fall for it. Other than that, onto official merchandise. I guess Jack Specific is releasing a new World of Nintendo 2.5-inch box set. So what that is, it's like a little display box with like a nice Mushroom King in the background, and it comes with 5 2.5-inch figures. This set in particular was like Mario, Toad, Bullet Bill, Piranha Plant, and another character. And Toys R Us had it listed for like $25. I mean, I guess that's like you're not really getting a deal. You're paying $5 per 5 figures, $25, and they're just re-releases from what I can tell. The only cool thing is that it's a nice box set. So I don't know, like I'm kind of torn between what I think about this, because yeah, it's a really stupid, like, why even bother getting that? It's just a dumb like re-release. The characters we've had already. Why bother? But then if they do like a Metroid version with like a Samus and like some Metroids or something, or like a Wind Waker Zelda version, like, okay, that would be really cool to see and get. So I don't know, if they do some other cooler sets, I might get them. Of course, not to open, but like just to have a really nice display of Metroid figures or whatever. But I actually did think of a bigger negative involving these. And that's kind of when you think about companies. Right now I'm thinking about Jazzwares. When Jazzwares was going out, they took their like original 3.75-inch Sonic figures and re-released them with accessories. The original releases didn't have accessories. So I'm not saying Jax is dying or whatever, even though that's a debated topic every now and again. But like, you think about companies re-releasing older products when they really are in bad shape, and that's what Jax is doing. This is a re-release of old products, and even to some extent, the restocking of their older figures. I know I originally praised that a few weeks ago, because of course we need these figures to be more accessible, and of course that's good. But I mean, think about it. They're really pushing re-releases, restocking, all that kind of stuff. They're banking on old things. Does that point further to Jax being in bad shape? And like the last wave that we got of characters, we really only had Inkling Girl as the new figure, and we had 2 Mario repaints, the Lakitu, which back when we had just seen that production picture, I was saying that Lakitu was a disposable figure, and that was with all the joints of articulation he had in his arms. He has like, I think, 1 point of articulation in his arms. It's like the shoulder joint or something. I mean, that's really bad. And then the Bowser Jr. figure that had the really bad repaint. So I mean, like, are they in really bad shape? Where like we're not going to see a Captain Falcon figure, we're not going to see a Little Mac figure and things like that. It's just something to consider when you think about how many re-releases and things like that they've had. But at the same time, maybe we could look at it on a positive note, and just they're trying to do different things with what they already have. In the meantime, they're going to be constantly making more figures and getting us the Captain Falcon figure that we all need and things like that. I don't know, but I do need to see more stuff from them. Like, we need to see, like, the new plushes like the Deku Link and the Slippy and stuff, and more figure waves from this point on that aren't all re-releases or repaints. And I'd like to know about them like ahead of time too. I don't like just going on one wave at a time when that one wave is one Inkling Girl figure that's really new and the rest of the four figures are just like repaints and throwaway figures. Like that's not good. So I guess in time we'll see what happens with that. But continuing on with merchandise for a little bit. Speaking of Toys R Us, on their website, I guess it's Little Buddy. They have new Mario plush puppets, which is really weird. There's like a Mario, a Peach, and a Luigi, and it's just kind of weird because like, why did those exist? And how have we not really like known about them by now? They just appeared on Toys R Us's website. I don't really know what else to say about them except just it's really weird to like look at because they're like puppets. Like what? I don't know what you're really gonna like do with these puppets because like you can't really like you can play with them, but I don't know. It seems like a really weird thing to make. The biggest positive I could think about in regards to that is that like all the kids that buy up like the Mario Party 5 plushes and stuff, they'll want like actual puppets to go along with their like the other puppets Mario Logan uses, and maybe Mario Logan will actually start buying these puppets so that the puppets can get rare and the Mario Party 5 plushes and stuff can kind of normalize in their prices, which actually reminds me of a funny story of Mario Party 5 plushes I'll talk about after this. But the last point I wanted to make about Toys R Us is that for some reason they also had like a ton of old Popco stuff listed on their site. We suspect it was maybe like just like a warehouse like old stock kind of situation. They just put a bunch of stuff on their site because like this stuff hasn't been on their site for like years, and it was just all there. Most of it was out of stock, but there was a 2-inch Wario figure from like Popco or whatever that was in stock. You could buy it. So that we're kind of thinking that like everything that they had listed that was out of stock from Popco actually had at least one actual item in its inventory that you could have ordered within the past couple days. But I mean, we don't know for sure because we never saw anything besides the Wario in stock. And it is a really weird idea to think about where they just randomly had all these like old Popco stuff and they had like one in stock of all this old Popco stuff. But I mean, maybe because why else would they be there? So that's kind of a mystery in itself. But another mystery is the Mario Party 5 Mario plush. So I'm not sure what's up with this. I didn't look too much into it because I really didn't care. But it happened. So on my LSSQ stream highlight, the fallout of the Mario Party 5 $10,000 listing, someone actually linked to a $5,300 listing of a Mario Party 5 plush. But what made this interesting is that it wasn't a new picture. It was the same exact picture. Okay, let me backtrack a little bit. So I had seen a plush, Mario Party 5 plush, on a Japanese auction site sell for $80. That same picture reappeared on eBay at a price of $250. Well, that same picture that was stolen once was stolen again. The picture was rotated, and the selling price was $5,300 with a little, "This item is currently not available" banner at the top. And I didn't recognize the eBay user's name either. So I don't know what the deal with this is or why it was there or really when it happened or anything besides that. But just know that that exists, that happened. And I don't even know if it shows up in the sold listings section on eBay. I should hope it doesn't, but like, I don't really know what to even say about that I haven't already said about Mario Party 5 Mario plushes. And actually, another note to keep in mind is that we have been seeing an increase in Mario plush prices a little bit. Like, this is like the start of it. We've seen some Boo Marios, I think. I think they were just Boo Marios. Maybe there was something else too. For like, buy it now $70 or best offer. And we've really never seen Boo Marios ever be listed that high before. So I really think that, people are seeing these $10,000 Mario Party 5 Mario plushes, and they're like, man, this Mario gets $10,000. Let me try and, price gouge this Boo a little bit. And maybe other plushes in the future, other plush sets will fall victim to that. And it's really, really sad that we're seeing that happen. But, I mean, did I not say it would happen? Yeah, I expected this, and we're probably going to see it even more so in the coming months, especially if more stupid like $5,300 random transactions happen that like I don't even know what the real story is behind. And speaking of plushes and stuff like that, I think this is going to be the last topic I cover this week, is preservation of rare plushes. So this is just some food for thought for you guys, I guess, to kind of end the collectible stuff, but I guess this is the last topic anyway. So, and that's thinking about, especially how I talked about this a few weeks ago, the like UFO plushes and stuff from the late 90s, early 2000s, and how rare and desired and coveted they're becoming and stuff. But not only that, not only are they like holy grails and, collecting scenes and stuff, they're also kind of to bring, I don't want to really label them as lost media, but like time is only the enemy of these plushes, because not only are they getting rare and harder to find, but like slowly but surely, their age is really not helping in keeping them preserved. And what I mean by that is like there are a lot of times when you see rare plushes on eBay and other sites and stuff, and like they'll be missing tags or they'll be missing, head strings and stuff, and you might be thinking to yourself like, oh man, like, or at least I think about this when I look for those kinds of plushes. Like, oh man, this one is missing its head string, it's missing its tag, it's not complete. I probably wouldn't want this for my collection. And as time progresses, more and more of those rare plushes end up looking like that. And it's just kind of a general kind of thing to think about. When you get your hands on these rare plushes, you guys, you should really do all that you can. If you're lucky enough to get your hands on these rare plushes, you should really do all that you can to preserve these plushes and take good care of them and make sure that nothing happens to their tags and their head strings, and like put them in a case if you can, because I mean, you might, think that's like overreacting. It's just a stuffed animal. Like, what does it matter? But if you're in the collecting scene and you value, these rare plushes for, what they are, and if you would pay the price that it takes to get one of these rare plushes, I really hope that, you would also take into consideration, how they're not becoming more common and they're not becoming any less desired, and their age is really deteriorating them. So you got to do all that you can to really protect them and preserve them. Like, I always think to myself that like as long as someone out there has one like plush of like, every plush that was made, I'm trying to think how to say this correctly, okay, so think about like Mario Party 5 Luigi plushes, okay? As long as there's someone out there, a respectable collector, someone who takes care of their merchandise, who, really appreciates video game memorabilia collecting. As long as there's one person out there like that who has a mint condition Mario Party 5 tagged, maybe even bagged Mario Party 5 Luigi plush, like, that's good. That we have at least one of these plushes preserved, that, years from now, when everyone else destroys their Mario Party 5 Luigis and there are none left, we have this one collector who, has this plush that we can see, what it looked like in pristine condition. And I would hope there are more collectors out there and more people than just one of those kinds of people that would take care of these plushes, so that, it doesn't actually become one plush, out there that is in perfect shape. But, I mean, that's kind of one kind of, hope that you could have when these rare plushes become, harder and harder to get, is that as long as there's one of them out there preserved, like, that's good. But of course, spreading the word and like getting these preserved and taking good care of them in general, is something that I think most collectors and most people in the video game scene, as well as just the higher end collecting scene, should take into account. So with that said, we're nearing like the 25-minute mark, which is kind of close to a half an hour, which is a pretty good, I guess, place to end this pre-recorded mini LSSQcast. So with that said, thanks for watching, guys, and like, sorry that it wasn't a real live, stream this week. But that actually kind of was all the topics I had to cover anyway. I'm sure if I had other topics to talk about, maybe, or I'm sure if it was live, I could have talked about certain topics for longer, or I would have had to think of more topics so that we could have extended this. But to some extent, I did try to concise it into like a half an hour. I think I did a pretty good job of that. So next week, it'll hopefully be live. It should be live next week. And I am going to try and get the co-host that I wanted on the stream. We're probably going to do call-ins. I think I figured out how to implement that correctly. And some other, like, more stuff that isn't just solo me talking about topics. And also just looking at the comments for the second hour. So I'll figure that out. But for the meantime, also, new video should be on later next week as well. So Thanks for watching, guys. As always, I'm El Supersonic Q, and until the next video, Finn.